1. All right, people, Happy New Year. It is 2019. Welcome in. It is the 2020 version of the NBA Tip-Off Show. It is powered by WagerTalk.com. I'm Joe Raineri. Next to me, of course, Mr. Ski Profit here, along with Rob Veno, Tony Finn. It is your NBA Tip-Off Show crew, and we're excited here. 9 NBA games on the card. It is a new year. It is a new day. It is time to start profiting in the NBA, and nobody better to do it than this panel of guys here getting you guys ready. Of course, Ski and Finn over at WagerTalk.com. The man below me, Mr. Rob Veno. Rob Veno Sports there on Twitter. You can catch him over at SportsMemo.com. And plus, the three of these guys collectively will give you an opportunity to grab every one of their NBA plays now through the finals. Tell you how to do that with a big New Year special coming up. But, gentlemen, Happy New Year to you. And, Ski, you and I were talking, brother, the shits and giggles parlays. They're going to start to include the Knicks a lot, my friend. A lot coming up. Am I right?
Yeah, they've been playing well. I want to say 7-3 against the spread their last 10. And you know how you've been doing with those shits and giggles, man. They've been money.
That's what I'm telling you. And listen, Rob, last time we talked, we had the Golden State Warriors. Nobody was playing. They were in San Antonio. And then they take the San Antonio Spurs to overtime and end up covering the 11.5-point spread. How do you like that?
Yeah, they did. And I think that day it was listed as a bitch slap parlay, which I think Tony reduced down again. He likes reducing your parlays down a little bit.
He doesn't like him at all.
Maybe that was only half
he's
a
allergic
bitch.
to money, Finn, so that's what happens, I think. He breaks out.
They did. They played well. And you know what? When we were on the other day, guys, we didn't even realize D'Angelo Russell was going to be out of that game. He was held out of that game. And still, Golden State played it to overtime. I like the under in that. If only regulation had stopped, it would have been an under. It wound up being an over. So congratulations to the Warriors for pulling that one off.
Yep, they won't go anywhere. And Finn, I got to tell you here, there is as we look at this card today, I'm looking at the Denver Nuggets. And listen, the Denver Nuggets on the road here taking on the Pacers. They were on the road taking on Houston there, and just they threw up all over themselves. So can you trust Denver on the road? Have you gotten to that point? Are we going to see a better effort against the Pacers, who are laying 1.5 at home against this team? They got blown out by Houston.
Well, that's the one thing you can do. You can trust Denver when they're getting points against a team that's maybe missing their first and second best player tonight. So I guess is Brogdon playing? Is he in or out?
Good question. Let me see what the update is.
I have listed as out.
He is
okay.
out. Yes, he is out.
So is Victor back in yet?
No,
sir.
Okay, I guess they're missing the first and second. I'll take Denver on the points.
There you go. Taking Denver 1.5. You like how that worked over there. I believe Millsap also is active. Gary Harris questionable for Denver. But Ski, we talked about it, man. I don't know. You back in this Denver team getting 1.5?
Yeah, Denver hasn't really been playing good lately as far as against the spread. 0-4-1 against the number of their last 5 games. They haven't really stepped up versus competition. 4-7 versus 55% when teams are greater. But coming off of that ass whooping that they got versus the Rockets, coach kind of laid into them a little bit, and I think they'll be prepared, as Tony said, versus a team who's missing Brogdon. I like Indiana. I like them at home. I don't like them without Brogdon, though. So I would agree. The one thing, though, I would need and want Gary Harris in the lineup at least.
Yes.
The best perimeter defender they have.
Yes.
So I do think he will play. So I'd have to agree with Denver as a play for me.
But Denver is the play there, and Rob, I mean, listen, Denver seems to go when Jokic goes, but the problem is he's been as inconsistent as it comes. Does seem to have picked it up here over the last month or so. 4 out of his last 10 games have included a triple-double, but when he's MIA, this team's MIA.
Yeah, it's interesting, Joe, because last year it wasn't necessarily a team where they designed the offense to go through Jokic. It just worked out that way. And it was more of a collaborative effort. There's so many pieces on this team that can score. We saw spread out scoring. This year they make a concerted effort to run it through Jokic, and it seems like this whole team hasn't gelled yet. It's the same players. It makes no sense that they don't play as well as they played last year. Ski touched on there against the spread mark. It's been miserable. We talked about it a little bit the other day. Over their last 17 games, they're 4-10-3. However, straight up, they're 9-2. So in this instance, you're only asking the team to win straight up. Denver's not laying any points. Tony mentioned trust him as an underdog. Gary Harris, best perimeter defender for one side. Malcolm Brogdon, the best perimeter defender for the other side. So that may neutralize itself if Harris doesn't go. But if he does, advantage Nuggets there as well. I think that Denver's probably the right side here. Eventually, Joe, they have to start playing better. This group of talent is too good. And as you said, Millsap came back the other night right into the starting lineup. So we'll see. I mean, Houston had everybody back the other night in that blowout. Harden came back. Westbrook came back. Capella came back. Eric Gordon's now back, so maybe that was a little bit to be expected.
All right, guys, let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets heading over to the, once again, oh, hell no, Cleveland Cavaliers. And the good thing is we don't have Brian Leonard on the call here trying to convince us how great Cleveland is and how they've really turned a corner. The only thing they've turned is another bottle of Jack Daniels, apparently, because, hell no, Ski. At home again, Charlotte coming to town. Number is, and believe it or not, Cleveland's a 1.5, 2-point favorite. Number is hovering. It's growing. The total opened up at 210. I'm seeing 213s out there. So who do you like in this game? Or are we back to hell no Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah, we're definitely back to hell no Cleveland Cavaliers for me right now after the last game. But they've been a favorite a few times, and I don't think they've covered any of them. I know for sure they're 0-2 as a home favorite. They're 4-1 against the spread their last 5. That last performance, I just didn't like it. And Charlotte, they're not playing well either. 0-4-1 against the spread their last 5. The garbage bowl, I could find. We have 9 games here. I just prefer not to put my money here. I don't trust either team.
All right. I mean, listen, Finn, Charlotte definitely has the solid and more experienced backcourt than Cleveland did. Graham, we've talked about. Terry Rozier certainly can outplay the guys they're going to be going up against. But who do you trust in this game, if anybody?
Well, I like Charlotte for one reason, for one important variable. I think when it comes to Charlotte, their 6-game losing streak, I think, has been a large part has been some of the slump, or at least the shooting woes they've had from the perimeter. And if I'm not mistaken, in that Cleveland game or that Toronto game, I think Toronto made 17 or 18 3-pointers. They just don't guard the perimeter. Cleveland does a very poor job of guarding the perimeter, and if Charlotte gets those open looks, I like Charlotte here.
I got to tell you, Rob, P.J. Washington, Miles Bridges, just totally inconsistent. Cody Zeller, you don't know, is he a starter? Is he not a starter here? It's tough to figure out which way to go here. So I don't know. Do you back Charlotte, or are you taking the home team here with Cleveland?
Yeah, it's hard because, this game was in the same price range, a little higher. I think Cleveland was 3 a couple of weeks ago. In that game, Cleveland held a huge lead in the third quarter. Charlotte outscores them by 10 in the fourth. And, in fact, Terry Rozier hits a backdoor 3 with about 20 seconds left. I think it was 100-95. He made it 100-98, and that wound up being a Charlotte cover. Here we're down to 1.5. I would kind of lean towards the Cleveland Cavaliers here, guys. And piggybacking on what Ski said about the Charlotte recent woes, they're 0-4 against the spread. Now, in their last 4, a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that they played Boston twice. They played Oklahoma City, pretty good defensive team, but they were minus a piece in that game, and they couldn't score with Memphis. But just based off of that last game that they played on the 18th of December, I would think that Cleveland can win this game by 2, the same way they did last time. And if forced to, I mean, it's not a play I would rush to the window with and, beg the teller to give me a ticket on the Cavaliers. But I think minus 1.5 is probably a good price range for the Cavs here.
Yeah, I would correlate it, guy. I mean, the Cavs actually score 4 more points at home than they do on the road, and yet they're 10-6 at home to the under. So if you're going to back the Cavs, you might as well back the under here because I don't think either of these two teams can get enough consistent scoring. But at least maybe you can get some defense out of them, which, speaking of defense, leads us into this next game. Right here in my backyard, guys, the Miami Heat at home, AAA Arena, taking on the defending champs, the Toronto Raptors. And, of course, we know about the injuries for Toronto as I take a look just to make sure. Gasol still out. Norman Powell, Pascal Siakam all out. Winslow still out for Miami, but James Johnson is active, and, of course, so is Dragic. This game is at 6, guys. It's been hovering at 6. The total's hovering around that 214, 215 mark. So, Ski, do you like Miami's chances to get the win and the cover here at home against Toronto?
I do. And you talked about the injuries already for Toronto, missing 3 of their starters. They're 3-5-1 as a road dog, 5-7-1 versus 55% win teams or greater. They've lost 3 out of their last 5 games. And Miami, they haven't really been good against the spread either, but they're 7-1 against the spread after a loss. So I think they'll step up here after that last game. They're 9-5 as a home favorite. Definitely like them at the house. I think they can win by more than 6 points, and I probably like them even more so early. I think they'll be motivated after that loss to come out and cover that first half too.
Yeah, listen, Finn, it's the Toronto Raptors have been reduced to, does Kyle Lowry or Fred VanVleet score enough to keep them in games? I mean, that's basically what it is. And it changes minute by minute with those two guys because neither one of them has been that consistent as of late. So who do you trust more here, Miami at home, or do you like Toronto with the points?
Everybody in the city of Toronto is on the injured list. Everybody. No, the depth of Miami, well, the second rotation of Miami, with all these injuries, I don't trust Toronto, don't trust their second rotation. I do trust Miami, a team that is, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're, what are they, 15-1 at home?
Yes.
Is that what they are? 11-4 against the spread at home?
Yep.
And out, other than Winslow, they're healthy. And now they do play tomorrow night, but guess who they play tomorrow night? Orlando.
Yep.
So they don't have to travel very far. They don't have to score many points to beat Orlando. And they're all out tonight to beat Toronto and continue to be money at home. I like them tonight.
And Rob, coming off a just horrific loss against Washington there, the Miami Heat, looks like a good bounce-back spot for him. What do you think?
Yeah, boy, on top of all the other injuries that Washington had the other night, Bradley Beal doesn't play.
Yeah.
And, the kid from Lipscomb goes crazy against them, puts up 28 points. So for Miami, it's been a rough stretch, 0-4 against the spread their last 4. It's interesting, Joe, when you started the analysis, you talked about, speaking of defense, the Miami Heat are at home. And it's interesting that, we do look at Miami that way. They're perceived to be a really good defensive team, but the numbers right now at home, 11-4-1 against the spread, but 11-5 over the total in 16 home games so far this year. Now, the first time around, they play Toronto. That game goes 121-110. Toronto scores 110 points, and they only shoot 38% from the floor. Granted, everybody was available for them, and they've had these injuries for 7 games now, over which they've gone 3 and 4 ATS. I happen to think that these injuries are wearing a little bit on Toronto at this point in time. Things are shortened up. Guys are playing more minutes they're not used to playing. And Miami's going to be looking forward to this game. So I'm in agreement with everybody on the panel here. I think Miami's the right side. I think they'll bounce back from the other night's terrible loss and the 0-4 against the spread streak that they've been on.
Yeah, and, to your point, I think if Miami speeds it up in this game and goes tempo, then this is going to hit the over rather easily. So, because they'll at least be able to hang with them there and put up enough points, 215, 214, 215. So, yeah, there could definitely be some points in this game. Along with the next one here, guys, how about this interesting game? The Brooklyn Nets taking on the Dallas Mavericks here, and I'm looking at Brooklyn it opened up at 8.5 for Dallas at home. I'm seeing it a little bit of buy down here. 7.5 is what I'm seeing now. The total is creeping up though to 222. So Ski, I'll ask you, man, am I looking at this crazy, or does the value lie with the dog here and the Brooklyn Nets getting 7.5?
Yeah, I would definitely, if you could read me that total back one more time as well.
At 220, it opened up at 220. I'm seeing 222 now.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think the value lies with the dog. The coach was not happy for the Brooklyn Nets. And Dallas, they're just missing too many players. That's a lot of points missing with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Porzingis out. Yeah. Luka to do everything. I tend to think it's less points in this game. Brooklyn, their defense has been holding them down rather than their offense. So I think they'll win this game with defense if they do. And just missing all those points, I would think it's an under type of game, and I would be grabbing the points with Brooklyn. I think it's too many with just Luka out there for Dallas.
Love that. Tony, the Nets 6-2 against the number in their last 8 games in Dallas. Does that streak continue?
Well, could you repeat that question again?
Let me slow it down for you. The Nets are in Dallas. They're 6-2 against the number in their last 8 in Dallas.
Yes. So, well, again, I've mentioned this on this show, and at this point in time, with the injuries Dallas has, and with Luka is not even. I'm not sure he's 100% yet. To be completely honest with you,
yep.
So I don't know how you could play. You can't play Dallas laying a bit. First off, I'm not laying this number with Dallas at home. I'd rather take these points on the road. I'd take these points with Brooklyn, but I'd rather have Dallas +3 on the road than I would have laying 7.5 at home for lots of reasons. And I'm not mentioning teams who they're playing, et cetera, but these guys are right. At least Ski's right. There's just too many question marks, and we all know Brooklyn's not that bad. In fact, they may be better right now than they're going to be at the end of the season because we know who's coming back eventually.
Yeah, and then of course it's like a bad rash. It'll spread. Yeah. It's just awful there. Rob, I got to ask you, man. It does seem, to Ski's point, 2 very good offensive teams, but it seems like both of these teams have made it, especially with some of the injuries, they've made it a priority to kind of slow it down a little bit. Not nearly as up tempo as they have been in the past. So maybe the under is definitely worth a look here.
Yeah, because over the last 10 games, Joe, the Nets' offense has been miserable. Realize that in their last 10 games, they haven't shot better than 46% in any of those games. In 7 of those, they shot 43% or less. It's just not good by NBA standards to have a 10-game string shooting the ball lousy the way they are. Their score levels have gone down. If they didn't have overtime the other night, they would have only put up 103 against the Timberwolves. So for me, it's kind of head-scratching that this total has gone up the way it has, with the injuries on the Dallas side, with the poor offensive performance on the Brooklyn side. I would have to lean towards the under here. Couldn't pick a side for you because I do think that maybe the points are a little too much for Dallas to cover. Brooklyn at least is the healthy team. But certainly the way the Nets have played over this long stretch of time would indicate under might be a good side here.
I got to ask, too, Ski, in this next game, because I'm going to the Golden State Warriors, who covered again last time we spoke about them there, taking San Antonio to overtime, getting 11.5 points, and basically didn't have anybody. While they go up against a team that really doesn't have anybody, the Minnesota Timberwolves here tonight on the road. Golden State, if I'm not mistaken, let me just make sure. Yeah, it opened up as Minnesota being a 4-point favorite. It is a 3-point favorite now. Total is all the way down from 219 to 213.5. I mean, let's face it, this was a Timberwolves team that was getting 18 points last night against Milwaukee on the road, and they give Milwaukee all they can handle. Now Golden State's coming in, but again, no Teague, no Wiggins, no Karl-Anthony Towns, all probable to miss this game. Are we going Golden State here as a dog?
First off, I agree with the move on the total towards the under because you're missing a lot of offense on the Golden State side with D'Angelo Russell out. Mm-hmm. And you already talked about the laundry list of guys out for Minnesota. So I definitely agree with the under. Both these teams, Minnesota, surprisingly, last 5 games, number 1 defensive rated team. Mm-hmm. Offense, second worst. So I do think it'll be more of an under type game. As far as the spread, there's no way I could look towards Minnesota. 1-8-1 as a home favorite. They have covered a few of their games lately, but Golden State, they've been playing well. 5-1 against the number of their last 6. I still think they can get it done without D'Angelo Russell. It's just I usually like them with him more just because I know he can hold them down on offense. So I probably like under more, but I could only look Golden State's way.
Tony, I got to tell you, Golden State, at least they're going to be rested. That was a tough game for Minnesota last night. They really did. They hung with Milwaukee, and they fought back, but this is a tough spot for them.
Yeah, I guess we can use William Murray again as an example. There's just no, in my orbit, there's just no way I can support or back Minnesota with the injuries they have. Even when Wiggins and Towns are in the lineup, mm-hmm. The total, these guys not in the lineup it's the totals. It's baked into the total.
Yes.
However, it's not. It's just untrustworthy. You can't trust this team right now against anybody. Against the Rutgers women's team, you can't do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Rob, what do you think, man? You trust in the under? You trust in the side here? It's a tough spot for this Minnesota Timberwolves, who, listen, let's face it, 18 points last night they were given against Milwaukee, and they punched them right in the face.
Yeah, and it's back-to-back covers for the T-Wolves. I mean, not that you would expect that out of them, but they did take the Nets to overtime a couple nights ago and win that game and then come back with a spirited effort against the Bucks last night. But I think your point to the back-to-backs makes some sense, Joe. Anti-Minnesota in that case, and I think everybody's point about under. This team, you couldn't get to the window and play over fast enough when Towns and Wiggins were on the floor. But since they've been off the floor, I mean, this team is 1-7 under the total. The last 8 games are 7-1 to the under. The last 8 games, everything's gone under, with the exception of that overtime game against Brooklyn. So again, where Golden State is concerned, when D'Angelo Russell plays, they're quicker up and down the floor. They get more shots up because Russell won't hesitate to shoot, and he'll score. But with Pascal back, they become more of a defensive-oriented team, and I could see under one more time for Minnesota. Sure, the fatigue factor plus the fact that they've been playing slow down, low-scoring games ever since the injuries have taken place. Add Jeff Teague to the mix, and that just hurts it even more.
Tony, got to ask you about your Utah Jazz, a team that you have backed before in the past year on this very show. They are on the road taking on the Chicago Bulls. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but this just feels like, I don't know if they're baiting us here, the books, or what. This feels like it should be closer to 6, 6.5, maybe even 7, but they're only laying 3.5 against this Chicago team. Something smells to me. What do you think about this game?
Well, it's not my number that I have for this game either, but investigating a little bit, I came up with absolutely zero reason why this isn't. I had this game at 5 is what I had my numbers at. So it's not 3.5, 5 is in the NBA is much more significant than people believe. It is significant and much more significant than it is in college. So I'm tempted. I'm one of those guys. This is exactly where you want Utah. You just want Utah to be in a situation where they're going to win and don't have to lay a big number, especially against a team that they should beat. Chicago. They should beat Chicago. So we shall see. I sent out a couple emails, a couple texts, trying to find out if there's something that you and the 4 of us are missing, because unless somebody else got something to say to this, I'm not sure.
Ski, does it make any sense? It just feels like this number should be greater than 3.5, no?
I definitely agree. And if I have to make any sense of it, I'll say number 1, Utah does not have a winning record on the road. And number 2, Chicago, I mean, they've been pretty good against the spread. They're 11-4 against the spread their last 15 games.
Oh, wow.
But, I'm sorry. But at the same time, I think those games that they're winning, they're not really playing competition. So they're going to step up here and play this Jazz team, who now looks like the Jazz team who we thought they were. Ever since they got Jordan Clarkson, he's that little boost that they needed off the bench. And they're 4-0-1 against the spread their last 5 games. I think Utah is completely outclasses Chicago as far as talent. And Zach LaVine, I mean, there's guys injured for Chicago too.
Yeah.
His shoulders messed up. He didn't even shoot well last game if you go back and look at it. Carter Jr. is hurt too. I think Satoransky's hurt too. We'll see who suits up, but it'll be Utah or nothing for me.
Rob, looking at the percentages here, I mean, 75% of the bets, 75% of the money on Utah, but that number's not budging, so somebody must like Chicago in this spot.
Yeah, it's interesting because the whole crew of Chicago Bulls players have been on the injury report for the better part of a week and a half now, and yet every night they all go out and play. So I'd expect them all to play again. Yep. I don't know what they're doing with the injury report there, but there's something going on. It's ridiculous to say, and it's not a statement of fact, but we've talked about it before. This 4-0-1 against the spread run by the Utah Jazz directly correlates to the absence of Mike Conley Jr. They're not a better team without Mike Conley Jr., but they're a more cohesive team. They're more used to playing together than they are with him. He hasn't integrated into that offense yet. This total of 210 just strikes me as way too low, Joe. They've played the last 9 games that Utah's played. 8 of those have gone over 210. They've become a more offensive-minded team and a less defensive-minded team, for that matter. They're giving up more points than we're accustomed to with Utah. They're scoring more than we're accustomed to. Chicago's all about getting up and down the floor and scoring points. So, you know, that last outing against Detroit, 104-81 by the Jazz, Detroit was minus everybody. Take a look at that starting lineup and then the bench. It's a ridiculous, it's like a G League lineup, minus Andre Drummond. So, from that perspective, I like over. Over 210 to me seems a pretty simple play here, and I'll roll with that.
All right, going with the over. And, guys, I want to just remind you right now, if you guys have been reading the scroll, there is a great New Year's opportunity. The gentlemen all on the board here right now. You got Tony, you got Ski, you got Rob at sportsmemo.com. You got the other guys over at WagerTalk.com. You can get every one of their NBA plays from now right through the finals, guys. Normally that would run, I believe, $8.99. You can get it right now for just $5.99. Never miss a play ever. You'll get notified every time these guys post anything in the NBA, and you can do it now by using that code NBA599. That's NBA599 at checkout. And go ahead. I mean, it comes out to be about $99 a month here through the end of the season. Get it done. Get it done now. Never miss a play. Never got to worry about anything there. You can get Ski and Tony at WagerTalk.com, and, of course, Rob over at SportsMemo.com. Use the code NBA599. All right, guys, one of the last games I want to ask you about here real quick has to do, and let me just make sure that I am, two teams that, I don't know, I feel like are going in totally different directions, especially as of late. But how about Memphis traveling to Sacramento here? 222 is what this opened up with. I'm seeing 224 and a half, 225 out there. Sacramento opened up as 3.5. They seem to be getting a lot of money coming their way because now it's up to 4.5. And Ski, I'll start with you, man. Do you trust Sacramento, even at home at this point with what you've seen lately, to be able to cover this kind of number?
It's tough, and I want to so badly, but, I mean, they're just free-falling, so I really don't want to step in front of it or try to just catch the right spot anymore. They're 1-7 against the spread. Their last 8, 1-6 as a home favorite, 6-9 versus 45% win teams or less, so not really any reason I see to back Sacramento the way they've been playing. In Memphis, like you said, they're going in the other direction, 8-3-1 against the spread. Their last 12, I'd have to be playing Memphis, and probably even more so on the first half. But yeah, Memphis first half full game would be the way I look in this one.
Tony Finn, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 8 games in a row. Sacramento has lost, and they got, of course, they got crushed there. I believe what was it on Tuesday against the Clippers. To me, it seems like it's going to get worse before it gets better. Bagley, I don't think he's played since the day after Christmas. Still got that foot injury. This is a tough team to back, man.
Yeah, there's a couple things about this game I don't understand, and you guys have covered one of them. The other is that there was sharp money that hit this total.
Yeah,
this morning there was sharp money that hit this total, and it has to be all about Memphis, whoever the sharp group is that thinks because Sacramento's going to slow this down. There's no Bagley. I don't care the Foxes. They're going to slow this down. They have no chance to outscore Memphis in a game in a playground. I think they have no chance in a playground ball arena scheme setting to outscore Memphis without a Bagley.
17-6 to the under in the last 23 meetings between these two teams. 9-2 to the under, guys, in Memphis's last 11 trips to Sacramento. So what gives, Rob Veno? Are we crazy, or is this just not an underplay here?
That's a trick question.
Yeah.
Well, they played 10 days ago, and Sacramento couldn't slow Memphis down. 119, 115, 234. The game hits. I think Memphis right now, and at this point in time, I can't get enough of playing Memphis over. The last 11 games, the last 13 games they played, they've scored 110 or better. So really the opponent doesn't matter. Ja Morant and company, they're up and down the floor, and they're scoring. And I think we talked about it a little bit a couple of weeks ago. As soon as they come together, it's such a young group, even more. They're going to be a dangerous team, if they're not already a bit of a dangerous team. 9 out of their last 11 have gone over. like I said, in all 11 of those, they've scored over 110 points. And Sacramento couldn't slow them down the first time. Now, the only thing you could say to that is that game was in Memphis.
Right.
And maybe in Sacramento, it makes a huge difference, right? At home, Sacramento can control pace. You always want to go by the theory that home team can dictate to the visitor. But, boy, I just don't know. Memphis gets out there. They get it up and down, and nobody seems to be able to stop them. I'm short of playing this one just because of the number now, 225. But I could see where the sharp money came from. Right now, it's a train like any other in the NBA that you wouldn't want to step in front of. Either you get on and ride it or you just pass the game.
It's just a couple of head scratchers here on the card, guys. One quick note about the Pistons Clippers as well. Blake Griffin still doubtful, in all likelihood is not playing. Lou Williams had missed the last game. He is back. He is listed as active, and of course Patrick Beverley is still out. Looks like 11.5 guys, 12.5 now. I'm seeing somewhere around that ballpark for that game. So it's so hard to figure out Detroit on the road. It's almost like, I don't know, Detroit's a home team to back. It's certainly in a road team without Griffin on the court, no?
Most definitely, and they're not a team to back at all right now. Nobody likes, or at least I think I heard the coach talking about Blake Griffin and just kind of just saying he's not willing to accept that he's not 100% and he's still forcing stuff.
Yeah.
And the team is not liking him either, from what I understand. And they're missing Luke Kennard, missing Morris, missing too many points for the Pistons. They're already not a good road team. There's no way I could look to back them. But at the same time, a lot of points here for the Clippers. All they want to do is get in and win. They don't really care about how much. So if I'm looking at this one, I will back the Clippers on the first half. I think they can be up by double digits even in the first half and before they pull their guys out in the fourth quarter. They're 9-2 against the spread. Their last 11 first halves. So I'll be looking for that as my bet in this one.
Going in the first half. Finn, you like that strategy? Is 12.5 just too much for you to swallow here?
No, it's not. And in truth, I'll be a little contrarian here at least to skiing. I'll say this: Detroit's. It may be a lot. I may be projecting that Detroit can score some points tonight, even without some of their key players. Maybe that part of my formula is wrong, but the formula, Detroit's miserable defensively. They are horrible efficient-wise. They're missing their best perimeter player in Jackson. Yep. Griffin doesn't want to play defense anymore. He's so what Ski said is true. What's going on is the coach is basically calling Griffin fragile. He's saying he doesn't play physical like he used to play, and this team is horrible defensively. What I see is the Clippers getting a 20-point first half lead, resting Leonard, resting Kawhi and some of the first rotation, and letting the second. Listen, they're deep. We all four of us know how deep the Clippers are.
Yep.
Their second rotation can score, and maybe Clippers put up 130 tonight, and Detroit does enough to score 100, and then it goes over.
And it goes over to total. Interesting, it's ironic enough, Rob, that if the head coach of the Clippers, this guy Doc Rivers, had actually embraced load management back in the day, maybe Blake Griffin wouldn't be as, as fragile as he is today. What do you think?
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's fragile, guys, but he can't elevate anymore. He's not the Blake Griffin that we're used to. I mean, they played Philadelphia a couple of weeks back, and he shot about 1 for 13 from the floor. And even close to the basket, he just can't get up anymore. Basically, he's a flat-footed player, and there's even been rumors about Detroit trying to ship him off to Dallas. Dallas hasn't accepted, but they're trying to unload this guy. He's a shell of what he was, become more of a stationary three-point shooter, I guess. And even then, he's not worth as much or nearly as much as he used to be. I think that where the full game price is concerned, Joe, you don't fear 12.5 with the Clippers because just like Tony said, they can extend.
Yep.
When Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams and the backups are on the floor, they'll still beat Detroit by 5, 6, 7 points to extend the lead that they're already given by the starters. The lineup that Detroit marched out on the floor the other night, which will probably be the lineup tonight: Mikhailuk, the Ukrainian small forward, Tony Snell, Andre Drummond, Bruce Brown, and Tim Frazier from Penn State. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they can't play defense, Tony.
Yeah.
To your point,
Right.
if it becomes a playground game in the second half, certainly the game could reach the over. The Clippers reserves have no problem scoring points. So I think you could play them both. I think you could get away with Clippers minus 12.5, certainly, and perhaps you can get through with the over as well.
Yeah,
We'll just win game live stuff. We'll get that
Yep.
Sacramento. Listen, I think, I was looking at, I don't know if you guys look at those numbers, but first quarter points, et cetera, et cetera. I was a little surprised that Sacramento scored. I looked at their first quarter points. It's like, how can they have so many damn unders? Look at these first quarter points, but they fall asleep in the third quarter.
Yeah, they don't come out of the thing. But that's a first half, guys, a full game and an over in that Clippers matchup with Detroit there. So, all right, fellas, let's talk about some best bets here. We'll go around the horn. You got any dogs? You got any best bets? You got any plays? You got 1,000 free bucks here that you have found that Tony dropped there, Ski. So, what are you going to do with that $1,000 tonight? Where are you putting it, brother?
You got a reward for it.
I want to go last today.
Oh, okay. All right. Then I'm going with you, Finn, since it's your money anyway. I'm giving it back to you. So
I want to go first today.
What are you doing with your $1,000 tonight? Where are you going with this money?
I'm going to jump right back to the front line, and I'm telling you right now that I could not. I did a video earlier this morning with The Edge with Lawrence, with the president.
Sorry about
that. I mentioned exactly what Mr. V did, and that is that eventually Toronto's going to get healthy, but until they get healthy, this first rotation is going to be war to a frazzle. I like Miami at home only laying this touchdown, guys. That's what I'm on.
Less than a touchdown it is, man. He's taking that $1,000. He is going Miami. Rob Veno, talk to me. Best bets tonight. Where are you going with that G?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a couple of games here, Joe, if you don't mind. But I'm going to talk about one that we didn't talk about. And I would take Oklahoma City plus the 2 against San Antonio.
I was going to have to cut you off because I thought Ski might have just that would have left the room that if that was the case. It's another hell no on San Antonio. So go ahead.
Yeah, it gets I'll back him. I'll give a hell no to San Antonio here as well. Oklahoma City's played so well lately, guys. When we were on the other day, there was a question mark next to Gallinari. There was a question mark next to Dennis Schroeder. They both played. They won that game outright against Dallas. They're 5-1 against the number last 6, and they've played 5 straight unders. The defensive disparity between these two teams is huge. OKC will play defense. San Antonio can't figure out how to play defense. This might be Billy Donovan's best coaching job. This team somehow, some way, this patchwork team that was acquired in the offseason through a multitude of trades has, become very cohesive, and they want to win. They like playing together. They want to win. So I'll take OKC plus the 2 points, and then I'll just add to that one that we did talk about. I really think Utah and Chicago has all the indicators of getting over 210, so I'll be there as well.
Likes that over. All right, let's go, Ski. You heard it, brother. You got Tony's $1,000. Where are you putting it here tonight, man?
So I'm gonna give a dog, and I'm gonna give a second bet. So as a dog,
where you going?
I'll go with Memphis against Sacramento. Sacramento's just been free falling, so I think Memphis can get it done. And as the best bet, it was a few that I like. Tony crossed off Miami for me, so makes it a little easier. I'll go with, and I lost it that fast. I'll go with the Clippers on the first half.
You going? Okay, so Clippers first half, and you're going to back Memphis here. Is that correct?
Right.
All right, love it, guys. All right, I'm gonna go shits and giggles here tonight, guys. I'm gonna live a little. I am going, and let me just make sure I have the price on this correct. So let me make sure. Let me put that number in there and see. All right, so we're looking at so almost close to 4-1. Give me the damn Golden State Warriors on the money line there, plus 130, and I'll take the Brooklyn Nets getting it done, baby. The Nets getting it done tonight in Dallas. Too many injuries. I think if they outshoot them, Luka Doncic can only do so much. I think they got an opportunity to pull the upset at plus 260. So shits and giggles tonight. Give me Brooklyn money line. Give me Golden State money line. Tony, Finn, are we cashing or what?
I'm not going to say hell no. I'm going to say hell yes.
Okay. Oh, there you go. See, that's what I'm talking about. Damn it, that is what I'm talking about. And by the way, any combination of Memphis, the over, by the way, there, and of course Miami. There's a lot of combinations here, guys. Ways for you to make a few bucks here in the NBA. Best way to do it though is head over to WagerTalk. Head over to SportsMemo.com. The code is NBA599. Get every one of their plays, guys, right now, exclusively only for the NBA Tip-Off Show. The guys that you got here today, right now, get the whole season through the finals. $5.99. Normally, it's $99 a month through the finals, guys. You can't go wrong with that. Never miss a play. Cash some tickets, damn it. It is the new year. It is 2020. So, Ski, appreciate it, brother. Good luck with your plays tonight. And by the way, their plays are already up at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. Bowl games, NBA games, you name it, they got it up there, except for the Cleveland Cavaliers and San Antonio Spurs. You will not find that on Ski's page. Hell no, we're not going anywhere near that, Ski. Absolutely not. But other than that, Rob Veno, SportsMemo.com, Tony, Finn, always a pleasure, guys. Look forward to doing this again tomorrow. We get to come back and break it down for the weekend. So good luck with your plays, guys. We'll talk again tomorrow.
Rain delay.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck, guys.
The rain delay.
Yeah.
Later, Golden State, Joe.
Peace. That's it, baby. Come on, GS. Good luck, guys. We'll talk again tomorrow.
See you guys.